Jad in the Patreon said, woman who called kid the N-word raises over $300,000 on a Christian crowdfunding site. The site is called Give, Send, Go.
Yep.
It's the same site.
Yep.
That is being used.
Yep.
For
Metcalf.
The Metcalf trial.
Metcalf trial.
For the guy that stabbed the dude.
Yeah. So,
very interesting, huh?
Well, that's the thing is if you're going to allow something as divisive as either of those situations, some people will say there's no false equivalencies, yada yada. I mean, she raised. You can fill me in. I think she raised money to relocate because she was getting threats.
This lady.
Yeah, I don't want to give her any more.
No, we don't have to.
Attention.
She's raised $679,000
because she is in a dire situation with a kid and wants to relocate. Am I correct? So she raised enough to buy a home in most parts of the country. To buy a home, cash, outright, right?
She's
been doxxed, which is wrong.
Is that what happened?
My SSN number has leaked. My address and phone number have been given out freely. My family members are being attacked. My oldest child may not be able to go to school. Even where I exercise has been exposed. I'm asking for your assistance. Yeah, she's trying to relocate.
That's gangster.
So
I hope someone steals something out of my kid's diaper bag.
was that the background of the situation?
Yeah.
Yeah. So people are mad at Give, Send, Go or whatever the website is. But would you prefer them to allow one fundraiser and not the other? Like that isn't that kind of unjust? Isn't that kind of wrong?
Raising money for
people with questionable character. I'm not saying this lady deserves what got coming to her. I'm not saying anyone deserves to be doxxed. I'm not saying anyone deserves to have this information or be bullied or any of that. That's wrong. All of that is wrong. We should be able to condemn that unequivocally.
Yeah.
But she made a mess by kind of being wild.
Yeah,
right?
totally.
And people want to support this to some degree. I'm not saying they're endorsing her use of the N-word with the hard R and calling another kid. That's not what I'm saying. Yeah. Right? But what I'm saying is you can't say, yeah, let this rock. Let this lady call a 18-month-old an N-word, right? Which is, I'm pretty sure there's evidence of this on video.
A kid stole from her 18-month-old diaper bag. So the kid was probably like 10.
Yeah. And then she called him an N-word.
Yeah.
Right. So she got funds to relocate. Good for her. Shouldn't be doxxed. Shouldn't be harassed.
Okay.
Right? On the flip side, is not every single person in the United States, in our judicial system, are they not legally and in principle afforded a fair trial?
Yeah.
Can you get a fair trial today without a lawyer?
Yeah.
Can you get if you got a public attorney, you're a black kid.
Yeah.
Can you get a fair trial with a public attorney?
But by the means of a fair trial, yes.
Okay.
You can get a less talented attorney.
Okay. So he, for whatever, there's a constituency of people that are willing to give to that campaign. You can't have one or the other. You can't be selective. I think you got to let it rock. I think you got to let both rock.
Can't you not have both?
You cannot have both. Yes.
That was kind of my end.
Yeah, you cannot have both.
Why are we raising money for the lady calling kids N-word, and why are we raising money for the kid that stabbed another kid?
Yep.
That's crazy. Even GoFundMe was like, nah.
Yeah, because
GoFundMe was like, nah.
They're a Christian company, and they're trying to allow people to be able to raise money for the causes that matter to them.
But isn't it funny that the URL is Give, Send, Go, which is like a tie to missions?
Yeah.
Like,
what? Yeah. So all I'm saying is, at least they're being consistent.
Or
you could ban both, but now we're into blocking and censoring who can and can't have access to people and constituencies that want to support them. I think both of these situations are obviously wrong, but I think both of these people deserve a fair shot. Do they need $500,000 for a fair shot? I don't know. That's above my pay grade.
Does the Christian company facilitate the murderer getting the thing and the woman, the racist, getting $1 million? Does the Christian company?
I guess I'm just not looking at it like that.
Or like, okay,
I'm not looking at it like that.
Okay, when I hear it from the most basic version is, oh, we created an app that helps people go on missions trips.
Yep.
It's in the title. It's called Give, Send, Go. Our app is failing. But these other companies that can afford to lose high-paying viral stories, like the track kid and this lady, cut them. And so now they're on our platform, and we can have the integrity to do the same, or we can collect our 10%.
Is it 10%? I thought there was no percent.
On Give,
you should verify that.
Okay, let's see.
I think Give, Go is. I want to say that their competitive edges, so that they don't have to give 8%. I could be wrong though. Galen said there's more nuance for what went down in those stands. Clearly, because there's a court trial happening. With her, there's a clear video. Doesn't mean we should dox. Just saying. Well, the reason why she's raising funds is because she was doxxed.
Yeah.
So it's not like she's unrecognizable and her life hasn't been pulled upside down, right? She was doxxed. That's why she's raising funds.
Okay, so Give, Go does not charge a fee.
Yeah, I'm saying that's their competitive advantage.
So, and they live off of donations too, probably then, huh?
Probably. So again, you got to rock out with both, or you got to do neither.
Or you do neither.
So maybe your position will be do neither. You know,
they're doing the model.
I'm glad I'm glad I'm not making those calls.
They're doing the only model though.
Yeah.
Hey, we're gonna create a competitive to Patreon.
Yep. Low key.
Oh, we got
low key. That's a good parallel.
We got naked chicks on our platform.
Yeah, that's a good parallel.
Let her rock. Now, Give, Go is where the outcasts and outlaws go to raise money for their fringe.
Kind of. Yeah. So anyway, I don't know. I don't know how this plays out. I do know that someone who is doxxed and feels afraid probably does need to relocate and create some privacy. Yeah. I like the vulnerability of that is pretty scary. And we'll talk about that here in a second. Right.
Yeah.
And I have had friends who have done stupid things and did not, in my opinion, have the best representation. And that cost them decades of their life.
But did you know that the kid hired a super expensive lawyer that's like also has a criminal background?
It doesn't surprise me one bit.
It doesn't surprise me, but it's like I think it also goes to the idea of like a fair trial. It's like it's just
for sure. I think the keeping the dad away out of the trial, saying he can't show up, like I think that stuff is way nastier than who they're hiring as an attorney. The way they've treated the family of the victim is like nasty work. From my understanding, I'm not super immersed in it, right? But the fact that this is drawing such racial lines in the sand, right? Where people want one or the other. It's Matt Walsh. They're all this way, right?
Yeah.
Like type stuff. Yeah. Or it's all white people always do this, and he felt afraid because it was a white boy, so he had to protect himself. Whether or not the proportion of force was equal.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's nasty work that like that's where we are with this. And there's people like hardcore on both sides of this.
Totally. Yeah, I'm talking about just remove that. Kid stabs other kid in heart. He's on Christian.
He's on a Christian thing. Yeah.
Go fund me. So that's interesting. You know, but hey, and then also I would ask, you know, and look at no hate to either of these folks. They can get their bag. Do you need to buy a house cash to relocate?
I don't think she was expecting that much.
It says the goal is $1 million.
I think she updated the goal.
Oh,
I'm just trying to be as good faith as possible to this lady. I don't know.
No.
I think what happened was she probably started with a smaller amount. Maybe I'm wrong. And then they increased the amount. If I'm being as charitable as possible, which I want to be as charitable as possible to both sides of this situation. One person feels like the deck is stacked against them and they need a fair trial and we don't know what happened in those stands and maybe witnesses corroborate something else happened and someone else initiated and blah, 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 blah. Another person is saying, hey, you don't know the type of threats I've gotten. You don't know the type of people that showed up. You don't know how this is affecting me and my family, right? And so if I'm being charitable to both sides, it sucks. But I wouldn't want to be the Christian company rocking out with this.
That's brutal.
You know? Ugh. You know?
Let's send him some Blessed God merch to wear in the trial.
Yeah, let's not. Let's not.
Hey, we sent you a 60-day devotional. Oh, man, that's great.
Hey, thank you so much for checking out the video. Please be sure to comment below and subscribe and all that good stuff. And check out this other video that YouTube seems to be recommending just for you. Let me know if they nailed it. All right? I'll see you over there. Peace.